It's part 2 to what if Naruto had a special Dojutsu called the Juryugan, which means gravity eye in Japanese. Anyway, let's get straight into it since this will be my second video. Let's just start. Okay, so it's the same day as when they introduced themselves and Naruto made his bold claim of wanting to be the strongest shinobi ever. He didn't want to be Hokage like in canon, so since he was preaching about being Hokage when he was younger, the others were surprised. After about 5-10 minutes after their meet, he went home after going to the ramen shop, and he opened up the scroll that he had stuff written on. Mainly the Flying Raijin, the 8 trigram ceiling style, and the other one. Anyway, after a few minutes of just reading through other basic jutsu on the scroll, he decided that it would be in his best interest to try to learn more about his teammates and what they're capable of. So he sets up a little trap for where they're supposed to meet, and then he heads back home and starts to wonder something. His Juryugan lets him manipulate gravity. What would happen if he activated it and put more gravity on his body? Naruto, obviously thinking that it would probably make him stronger, decided to put some extra gravity on his body using the Juryugan. So it compressed gravity just around the layer of his skin, just like around the outer layer of his skin, that made his entire body 3 times heavier. That night, he was struggling to eat his ramen, and he was struggling to walk around, so he decided to just go to bed, and he did. He just went to sleep. The next morning, woke up, and he immediately noticed that the gravity that he was under felt a little lighter than it did last night. Him, not really caring, got up, got dressed, and walked over to their meetup, not eating like Kakashi suggested. Him being the first one there, waited for the other two. The first one there, aside from him, was Sasuke, and he triggered the trap, which sent 5 shuriken and 5 kunai reeling at him from opposite directions. Sasuke, being the prodigy he was, just pulled out a kunai and deflected them all. Naruto clapped and was like, good job, nice to test your skills. Sasuke, being kind of mad, said, whatever, dork, and he walked over and just stood next to Naruto. Naruto preparated his trap for when Sakura got there, and with what she did when she did. So 10 minutes go by, and she's just walking towards the meetup, and that's when she triggered the trap, just by the bridge where they met up. Naruto and Sasuke were both watching as these 5 kunai and 5 shuriken just flung right at her. Her, obviously not having any idea of what to do, just hid like a coward. Naruto, realizing that Sakura was not going to be helpful on missions, decided to amp something up for her. And he put a small level of gravity that was enhanced by his Juryugan on top of her, just enough so that she wouldn't feel a little heavier and her muscles would strengthen, but she wouldn't actually be negatively affected that much in combat. With 3 hours go by, and Naruto's like, yeah, he's not gonna be here, just like usual. He took out a cup of warmed up ramen that he had prepared before he left, just in case Kakashi never showed. He ate it, just lickety-split, threw it out in the garbage that was right next to him. And then he and Sasuke talked for a few minutes. Sasuke wanting to know what his Judyugan was. Naruto just said, "Oh, it's the Dojutsu. It's a very, very, very rare Dojutsu of the Uzumaki clan. My mother had it, and it was passed down to me." Him thinking this was an acceptable response, just went, "Oh, right. I never heard of it, but whatever." And he walked out and started to just stand by the river. After about 10 more minutes, Kakashi finally showed up. Naruto and Sasuke, both being frustrated but not frustrated enough to yell at him, were just standing there, and Sakura started screaming at him. He was like, okay, and they went to training ground 7, where he was going to give them the bell test. After getting to training ground 7, he gave them a brief explanation of what the bell test was. You have to take these bells from me, blah, blah, blah. And he just pulled out a book. Him starting to read, just was like, whatever. Him not really realizing that Naruto was a lot better than he had seen. Naruto whispered something to Sasuke, and Sasuke said, "Alright." And Kakashi said, "Alright, start." Sakura jumped into the bushes, and Sasuke and Naruto both stood their ground. Now, Kakashi, knowing that Naruto was going to, was surprised that Sasuke decided to. But he did anyway. First to run up was Sasuke, running in and basically having a quick little taijutsu bout with Kakashi. Kakashi put his book away so that he could have both hands free, and Sasuke almost managing to grab a bell, just like in canon. Kakashi whipped back and started throwing shuriken at him like non-stop. Naruto activated his Juryugan and put extra gravity on the shuriken so that they fell to the ground. Sasuke, knowing that that was Naruto's doing, ran up, grabbed the shuriken, and threw them right at Kakashi. Kakashi, just expecting this, pulled out his book again and dodged it using a body flicker technique. Naruto being like, "I know where you went," because his Juryugan gave him enhanced reflexes and enhanced senses. He heard where Kakashi had landed, and he jumped up at him and went to punch him. Now, Kakashi, expecting this, just kind of was like, "Yeah, I'll dodge it. He won't be able to hit me from that high." And that's when Naruto activated his Juryugan again, this time yanking Kakashi up towards him. Kakashi, not knowing what to do, put his book away immediately and started to prepare for a taijutsu fight. Naruto, knowing that this was going to suck for him, he decided to make something really quick. He extended the enhanced gravity that was on his body out off of his skin more. So when Kakashi came to punch him in the stomach, his fist had actually been affected by extra gravity and shot downward, missing Naruto, where Naruto then kneed him in the nose and managed to grab both bells and tossed one to Sasuke. When they landed, Naruto tossed a bell to Sasuke, and they walked up and were like, "Ha, we got you, sensei." Kakashi, obviously being really surprised that there were two extremely talented prodigies on his team, said, "Alright, let's go find Sakura," since she was still in the bushes and didn't see the fight. So, Kakashi yelled out, "Hey, Sakura, the boys got the bells, come out, you're being tied to a pole." Naruto and Sasuke sat down by the poles and started eating their lunch. And they started team bonding. Sakura, not really being in the best mood now, was like, hey, give me some food, you dead last, talking to Naruto. And Naruto and Sasuke both said, who are you talking to? Because neither of us are dead last. And her, being very frustrated, just like huffed and said, can I please have some food now? And Naruto, being nice, handed her a rice ball and just fed it to her. After she finished the rice ball, he went back to eating his lunch. Naruto, knowing that, this is going to suck today because you haven't been doing anything, obviously thought that it was going to be a struggle. Now, the team was immediately thrust into a bunch of D-rank missions. Naruto, already knowing what the D-rank missions were, since he had done several before because of his unique aptitude for the work, he started just doing D-rank missions when he was around 9 years old. So he already knew what, all the missions were and, pretty much all of the requests would be. So Sasuke and Naruto both asked for a C-rank mission just to get a little edge off, because they were like, alright. Kakashi being like, yeah, sure, why not, since they could both beat me, why not? They went to the Hokage's office and asked for a C-rank mission. The Hokage, knowing that Naruto had actually done around 200 D-rank mission by himself, Sasuke has done 35, and Sakura has done 33 since she had missed a few days, were like, yeah, sure, why not? You obviously believe that they can do it, so sure, Kakashi. So they got the job to protect Tazuna, and they started walking to meet him, and that's when they entered a room where he was waiting. Him, being drunk, started to stumble over to the door and said, these two kids and some pink-haired cotton candy girl are supposed to protect me? The only ninja here is this man. And Naruto, obviously being a little pissed, used his Juryugan to flick the bottle of whiskey out of his hand. Obviously, Naruto pissed him off, and Naruto looked him dead in the eyes with his Juryugan active. Him, knowing that this was a sign of power, was like, okay, let's just go. So around noon that day, they had left for the Land of Waves. A few hours into their journey, Naruto and, by extension, Kakashi noticed a puddle. Them, knowing that, yeah, that's gonna be bad, ended up just kept walking. Naruto, activating his Juryugan, whispered to Sakura and Sasuke, saying, get your heads down. Them both being like, okay, saw the Demon Brothers jump at Kakashi. Them about to stab Kakashi, Kakashi not noticing, or pretending not to notice, Naruto jumped in right away and used his Juryugan to enhance the gravity around their bodies so significantly that they were both plowed into the ground, leaving a small hole about the size of Naruto's body. Just like how in canon, when he was fighting Neji, he left that hole. So yeah. So Naruto grabbed both of their shoulders and just lugged them out of the hole, and Kakashi tied them up and interrogated them, and that's when he found out that Zabuza Momochi was going to be up ahead. Him complaining that this was probably an A-rank mission was obviously very annoyed, but Naruto and Sasuke, and reluctantly Sakura, just kept saying to go on. After about another hour or so of walking, that's when Naruto and Kakashi both noticed the giant executioner's blade being flung at them, and Kakashi yelled, get down, and Naruto jumped up towards it. activating his Judyugan and using a gravity shield to deflect it upwards. Zabuza, not knowing what the hell this kid is, jumped up out of the bushes that he was in, grabbed the executioner's sword, and landed on a tree, using chakra to hold himself there. Naruto, noticing with his Judyugan, seeing how he was using chakra in his feet, he noticed how it was distributed and the amount that he was using. After about 5 minutes, Naruto ended up staring him down for that time, and that's when Kakashi jumped in towards to fight him. After fighting him and getting locked in the water prison, Zabuza was obviously very, very happy with himself. And that's when Naruto was like, yeah, nah, let's just screw this guy over. Sasuke threw a Demon Wind Shuriken, which, unlike in canon, was not Naruto in disguise. It was a real Demon Wind Shuriken. Naruto ended up being like, yeah, no, let's just adjust its course a little, using his Judyugan to decrease the gravity on the shuriken, so it actually floated up a bit. This grazing right past Zabuza's face cut his cheek and made him release the jutsu because of the pain and because he had almost got his arm sliced off. Kakashi, jumping back out, was a little tired and started to use the jutsu to mop the floor with him again. And just like in canon, Haku shows up to save him, yada yada yada, and they end up carrying Kakashi back to Tazuna's house. Naruto carried him by himself just for that extra bit of weight training that he had been waiting for. After getting back to the house, 3 days later, Inari being like, you don't know what pain is, Naruto being like, oh yeah, screw you, and a bunch of arguing later, they ended up on the bridge, and that's when Zabuza and Haku both showed up again. Wait, skip that. I skipped something. Anyway, so over the few days while they were waiting for Kakashi to fully recover, they ended up going out into the forest with Kakashi, and Kakashi taught them how to tree walk. Naruto, noticing it again with his Judyugan, ended up being able to climb the entire tree and even hang upside down like Kakashi did on his second attempt, because the Judyugan let him train very easily. Sakura was able to get it on her 10th attempt, and Sasuke was trying for all day. Naruto asking how Zabuza was walking on water before, Kakashi was like, oh, let me show you how it's done. You basically channel chakra into your feet and keep pumping down chakra in order to stay afloat. Naruto, realizing that it was going to take a lot more chakra, asked if there was a way to increase his chakra reserves. Obviously thinking that this was in order to use his Judyugan better, Kakashi gave him a very easy explanation. Simply just walk on the trees up and down until you are tired. When your chakra regens, it will actually be bigger. Naruto saying that that'll take too long, he has too much chakra for that. Kakashi then was like, okay, well then use the water walking technique. Use your Judyugan to copy my chakra flow. Him watching Kakashi very carefully with the Judyugan, ended up walking through and ended up walking on water after about 10 attempts. Because he was not using his clones, it was 10 attempts. It could have been less, but he wasn't thinking straight at the time because he was tired. Anyway, he ended up just standing on the water for a good half an hour, and that tired him right out, and he fell through. Him swimming back up said, okay, my chakra is completely exhausted. What can I do now to increase my chakra reserve? And Kakashi said, you should eat something and then your chakra will replenish faster. So after a while, they went back to the house and they started eating. Unlike in canon where Sasuke and Naruto ate like until they threw up, Naruto and Sasuke just ate like normal people and talked to Tazuna and his daughter. And yeah, that's when the whole them showing up on the Naruto bridge started. Zabuza, obviously being very, very irritated with Sasuke, sent Haku after him. So Haku and Sasuke ended up having their little bout, just like in canon, until the Ice Mirror showed up. And that's when Naruto showed up after rescuing Inari and Tazuna's daughter, and him sneaking into the Ice Mirrors to help out Sasuke. So Haku obviously being like, okay, let's just do this. Everything happens just like in canon because Naruto wasn't using his Juryugan because he had been very exhausted that day from overusing the Juryugan and from using the water walking, which he had trained overnight. So then all of it happened like in canon. Sasuke almost died, and that pissed Naruto the fuck off. Naruto, obviously being like, this is it, I'm going to kill you, activated a tiny, tiny smidgen of the Kyuubi's chakra, and then activated his Juryugan on top of it. His Juryugan ended up being, rather than its normal dark purple, it ended up being a more crimson reddish purple. Naruto, being very mad, ended up evolving the Juryugan from its first primary stage to the secondary stage, where the waves in it were, rather than having only one wave, there were 2 out of 4. So this, coupled with the fact that he had been very angry and unlocked the Kyuubi's power, shot off a massive gravity wave that was visible to the human eye, that was a massive just purple wave of destruction, shattering all of Haku's ice mirrors and cracking his mask off. Naruto, not having met him before, because that's what happened in this one, Naruto never actually met Haku. He did end up overhearing Haku in the forest about having a precious one, but he never actually met him or talked to him, he just overheard. So Naruto, obviously not caring, just punched him clean in the face, sending him flying and smacked right into Zabuza. Kakashi, taking the opportunity, activated his Chidori and just stabbed Zabuza through the arm, not actually piercing his chest like he had planned. After that, Gato showed up, and Zabuza, actually having one good arm in this rather than just having his mouth in the cannon, took up his Executioner's Blade and shredded down all of Gato's men and Gato. Him saying sorry to Haku as he was dying, ended up saying Kakashi, please kill me, and Kakashi was happy to oblige him, since Zabuza was in the Binko book and would be a massive payday for him. After that, Kakashi stabbed him in the chest with another Chidori, and just ended up letting the two say their final goodbyes, and they died. After that, the Great Naruto Bridge was formed and founded as the Great Naruto Bridge because of how Naruto had rallied everyone together, and because of how Naruto had just saved Tazuna from both Haku and Zabuza. He walked off. So after the bridge was finally completed, they went back to Konoha, and that is when they met up with a few other teams. After getting back to Konoha, they met up with another team, Team 10, which is the team with, Kiba and Hinata and Shino. Hinata, obviously being really flustered that Naruto was there, ended up just saying, Hey, why is Naruto here? I thought that he was on a mission. Naruto saying, oh yeah, we completed our mission, we're just back from it. Them stating that, okay, that's fine, ended up just getting paid, and then they went to the barbecue shop with each other. Team 8 already being there, or Team 9 already being there, Ino, Shikamaru, and Choji already being there with Asuma. They were like, hey guys, come take a seat, and they had a nice little barbecue for dinner, all of them together. Team 7 obviously told them how they had actually beat Zabuza, and Asuna and Kurenai, not believing them, were like, is this true? Asking Kakashi, and Kakashi was like, yeah, it's true. They ended up helping me beat Zabuza, and actually I think Naruto did most of the work on our mission. So all of the others except for Sasuke and Sakura were all like, wait, what? Naruto did most of it? I thought Sasuke would have. Obviously, Naruto, being a little annoyed, was like, hey, I'm better than that, I can do good. Was like, yeah, whatever. The others were like, yeah, whatever, we just expected it to be Sasuke. After that, they all finished their barbecue and ended up going back to do their own stuff. Team 7 went to the Hokage's office, gave them their report, and actually gave them the broken mask of Haku, since Haku and Zabuza were both in the bingo book. They handed him the broken mask of Haku as kind of like proof, and he scrolled through the bingo, and the Hokage scrolled through the bingo book and found Zabuza and Haku right next to each other, and seen that was in fact Haku's mask. After about 5 minutes of reading through their pages, decided that since Haku was an S-ranked missing nin and was an S-rank clan head, and Zabuza was an A-rank missing nin, he decided to pay all 4 of the members, even Sakura, a pretty large amount of money. Naruto saying that this was going to pay for a bunch of his ramen, ended up just being like, booyah, I get extra ramen. Sasuke just being happy that he got a bunch of cash, and so was Sakura. Kakashi knew that the extra money was going to be very helpful for him to get his next book, and yeah, so we all good there. After about 10 minutes in the Hokage's office, they all went home to their houses. Sasuke and Sakura went home, and Kakashi asked Naruto if he could talk to him for a bit. Naruto invited him to his house to talk about whatever he wanted, and they went to Naruto's house. Naruto, sitting down on the couch, or not couch, his bed, was like, yeah, what's up, sensei? And Kakashi, obviously being very knowing what he wanted to do, asked him, what did you do to both the shuriken and to me when we were fighting that a couple days ago? Naruto just saying, oh, I was using the Judyugan. Him being like, is that what your eye is called? And he was like, yeah, that's what it's called. And Naruto, obviously saying that he was in a pretty good, after finishing his mission, having a nice thing of barbecue, and getting paid a large amount of money, he was in a very good mood. So Kakashi's questions didn't really faze him. After that, he noticed that his thing actually had 2 waves in it rather than 1, and him asking what it was, Naruto just said, oh, that means it's evolved a little bit, you know how the Sharingan has its Tomoe in it, and Kakashi being surprised, not knowing that Naruto knew about the Sharingan's different stages. Naruto just said, oh yeah, I've been studying about all of the Dojutsus, so I know pretty much all about the Sharingan, the Byakugan. I know a little bit about my Judyugan, since I actually have to be 13 until my next thing is unlocked, and 14 before I'm able to even evolve my thing at all to its secondary form, was like, yeah, whatever. So him and by extension Naruto ended up just talking for a little bit, and Kakashi asked, do you know any jutsu, or do you have any jutsu written down in this place that could possibly help you in the chunin exam, since that's going to be what they're doing next? And him being like, what's the chunin exams? And it's like, oh, well, it's a test for getting to upgrade to chunin. Him obviously stating that, yeah, sure, I've got enough stuff. Ended up just saying that everyone was going to have a massive thing, and Naruto obviously being like, okay, ended up saying, yeah, I've got a few jutsu right here, and he showed him the scroll that had the 8 trigram ceiling style and the freaking flying Raijing on it. Kakashi, knowing what the flying Raijing was, said, how did you get this? Only like 2 people I know of had ever been able to use it, and it's supposed to be stuck on the scroll of ceilings. Naruto explaining how the scroll of ceilings was stolen. Yeah, that was me. I had written down a few jutsu, and that's actually where I learned how to use the shadow clone jutsu. He ended up just being like, yeah, so I'm going to talk about blah blah blah, and that's when he ended up saying Kakashi, I'll see you tomorrow about the chunin exams. Him going to sleep with him saying okay and leaving. Naruto just ended up going to sleep. When he woke up the next day, he noticed that he never even felt the gravity on him at all now. His gravity was still 3 times his body weight, and him not knowing the difference was just like, whatever, it feels fine, since he was so used to it now. It had only been 2 weeks, but it was still oh wow, it has been, I didn't even notice that I still have my gravity on. Him activating his Juryugan ended up thinking, hey, I'm gonna add more weight. So he changed it from 3 times his body weight to 5 times his body weight. And he basically just left it at that for the time being. After Naruto got up and ended up going to the freaking meetup place, he ended up forcing Kakashi to get there early, because he used the Juryugan to find where Kakashi was. Seeing how he was just walking around the village not doing anything, he used the Juryugan to tug him towards him. Ended up lifting him throughout the entire village and over buildings to get to him. Naruto saying, yay, you're here on time for once. Waited for the others, and that's when they got there, and that's when Kakashi told them about the chunin exams. After a few days, they all got accepted into the chunin exams, and this is where the first round started. Naruto obviously doing a little better on the test than in canon. He just used his Juryugan to make tiny gravity pulses that would make certain people's papers go up, and then he'd use his Juryugan to study all of the answers that had been written down. And he found this one dude who had all of the answers written down except the last one. Him using his Juryugan, it actually evolved into its 3rd wave state, which actually made his perception even better. He was able to read all of the things and copy them down before any of the proctors noticed that it was him doing it. Him, after finishing everything, just said, okay, I'm done, and stood up and handed his thing to the proctor. The proctor saying, what the hell, that is like this is like the third best anyone's ever like the third fastest anyone's ever finished the test, next to Minato and Itachi. Said that, okay, this kid is definitely going on to the next one. So Sasuke and Sakura ended up passing as well, and that is when they ended up getting to the forest. That's when a brick was hurled through the window, and Anko came in being like, alright, we're going to the Forest of Death. Anyway, that's where I'm going to leave it off for right now. I understand that this one was a little longer than the last one, but, you know, it's just like it's only like 5-6 minutes longer. So, until next time, probably in a few minutes, you can just go and see what's going on with the first one of this channel, the first Naruto What If you want to understand what happened in this one. If not, then just say okay, and I will see you all in my next video, which will probably be either later tonight or tomorrow. Since I live in Canada, it's going to probably be pretty dark soon, or actually I think it might be dark right now, I can't tell, but once I notice the time, I might make a second one or not. Anyway, until next time, take it easy, everyone, and depending on what you want to be called, boy, girl, whatever, then have a good life. And if you aren't, try to think